Okay, this will be the final video. This is a wrap-up video in the building your own livery. You saw uh, that video was the set of videos was designed for you to use an already existing template on an aircraft to get your livery into Microsoft's Flight Simulator. I wanted to show you the possibilities, and so I grabbed the most complicated set of liveries that I believe I've ever done, and this is the VG Power Stole aircraft. This came out about a year and a half ago. It was payware. We went through quite an extensive period of getting all the textures right and expanding on what was existent. When it first came out, the wings were mirrored. You couldn't really do anything with it. And Vigo went through and worked with some folks, and we got things pretty well set up. I wanted to do a racer series for the Reno Air Races, and I wanted to have it so that people could select different colors and have different tail numbers on their aircraft. Well, it's set up so that it can have 9 different numbers, actually 10 if you count 0. And this is the picture of it, and you see the number 8 on the tail here. And so what I had to do was I had to come up with a way that people could select the aircraft they wanted without having to go in and try to put their own tail numbers into each aircraft. So I'm going to close this picture down, and let me go out of this real quick. So in the Power Stole pack, as you can see, I've got several different folders here, 4 different colors. There's a Group A, Group B, Group C, D, E, and F. I'm going to open up Group A, go to Sim Objects Airplanes, and if you can see, the Group A is the red aircraft, red tail, and it's got a folder here for each of the aircraft, 0, 1, 2, 3, and so forth. And then it has a central texture folder for all of these aircraft. In the central folder, it has all the textures needed for not only the aircraft, but the pilot's jeans and the safety belt and all that good stuff. Everything needed to get that aircraft. Now, in the texture, it's a pretty simple aircraft. So, in the texture CFG, all we had to do was direct it to the texture file for, which is this texture folder right here. Robin, get your act together. Okay, go up one. This is the central texture folder. So it says texture red racer, and that's what this is directing the textures when it builds it to this folder, as well as this is Vigo's main folder for his aircraft. This is what you purchase and put into your community folder. And if you see right here, he's got texture X1, X2, texture X base, and texture X. This texture X folder is the primary folder for all the textures for the aircraft. So it's going to look, whenever you select an aircraft, it's going to look, first of all here, it'll look at this folder first to say you check texture 1. It's going to look here, get that information, and then the rest of information that it needs to put the rest of the textures in, it's going to go back to the main texture folder, which is this texture X. And this is where the file is directed to. Alright, again, these sets of dots and dashes out here, these are callbacks, and that's the file levels that it needs to go to find those folders. Alright, I'm going to close this out. And when you go into the individual texture folder, there's not a lot here. You have the texture itself for the tail. That's the only thing that it needs, is this tail folder here with the number on it. So if I open it up, and in this particular case, I should have Photoshop open. Sorry about that. In this particular case, this tail texture folder contains the horizontal stabilizer, elevator, and the rudder. So this would be your rudder, and here's the textures that is needed to put that number on. So I had to go into each individual aircraft and set up those tail numbers. Then on the texture CFG file that's contained within that folder, you'll notice it's directed towards the red racer, which is the central file in my texture set, and the texture X folder that's over in Vigo's set for the actual aircraft. So hopefully that'll give you an idea of what's involved. If I go back here and I go into the aircraft CFG, you see right here in this base container variation, you would need to have that in your file, and you also need to have Flight Sim 1, and this is the same folder, basically the same setup as to what Grubble had for his generic folder to set up for his aircraft. And again, the appropriate things are filled in. In this case, we didn't have a panel. We just had the model folder and then the texture folder. And it goes to the 0, and each one of these folders is set up with the number 1, the number 2, and so forth down the line. All right? So hopefully that will give you an idea of what's involved in setting up. If you don't have anything all and you got to set up your own. I'm going to go in here and go to probably what a lot of people will run into when they want to do a texture for an aircraft that's in a Zobo's. Let's see. I want to go up to MSS. Think about what I'm doing here. Official. I'm going to go to the one store. And, of course, these are all the aircraft that you've purchased and also that Microsoft Flight Simulator has installed. I'm going to go down here to one that I know has issues. This is the Husky. This aircraft, most of the files that you need are locked out. And you see here under airplanes, if you get into the airplane, none of the stuff you need is really there for doing anything with the aircraft itself. There's no aircraft CFG here. There's nothing. So what do? It's got a texture folder, and let's see. Does it have? Yeah, here's the texture CFG. Now, this is your standard setup, reverting back to where stuff needs to go. But nowhere's here is there an indicator to the Husky. It's all just textures and then textures for the different gauges and stuff. I'm going to go back out, and I'm going to go and look at what it's got. Big wheels, the floats, the skis, and the small steel. So if I don't find it in the common, I'm going to go out here and look, and here we have different folders here for different things. But again, there's no aircraft folder, and this is where you gotta experiment. You could build your own texture folder. If I go out here to my aircraft liveries, and I'm going to open up the Husky, and let's just do the aluminum here. That'll work. What I've set up, let's look at the Tundra, which is the big wheels. I have an aircraft CFG file. Generally, all aircraft CFG files are pretty close to the same. They have the package that it needs to go to, and it has a Flight Sim 0, which gives the information of where to look, where to go And then these are like going to texture in the my aluminum. It's going to set up files that it needs to replace the existing files over here. So a lot of times this is experimental and see if it works. Sometimes it don't. You know, you wait till somebody comes along and actually gets one out there, and then you can go look at theirs. But to me, it was a challenge just to find a way in to make things work. I also have a aircraft mod that I had to kind of do the same thing with, and I got some help from some of the other folks that are out there in flight sim that do some experimenting. But that's what's nice about the community. Everybody tries to help each other out. You know, there are some aircraft that I ran into trouble with that I just couldn't figure out, and I had to send the files to a friend of mine. That it didn't take him very long because he was, you know, a little more in depth probably in the SDK than I was, and he knew he could take a look at it right off the bat and figure out what was wrong. So I hope this helps. That should get you going, at least for using templates. There are some folks that's got some paint kits out there that already have templates in them to use. And you know, we all started doing the same thing. You go on to let's see. You go out here to Flight Sim 2. You can look under liveries. There's all these different aircraft that's got liveries that you can go to. Let's look at the Cessna 182, for example. Open that up, and you know, I don't see anything wrong with opening up one of these liveries, downloading it, and seeing what the individual did to get his livery in, and I guess as long as you change everything, you don't use any of that person's livery stuff, I don't see a problem with it. You're just looking at the structure. They've figured out how to get stuff into that aircraft. Anything that would help you to go look this stuff up and check it out. If I was to take and download this, I keeps wanting to slow me down a bit to download things. I'm not going to use this livery. I'm just doing this to show you what you can do to try to get some help. You can get on the Discords. Got Gravel's Discord is great. So is Bush League Legends. FS2 has a Discord to help people out. All of these people, there's plenty of help out there for you. You just have to go looking for it, and you know, it never helps to get on something to ask. This is Newcomb's livery. I'm going to extract it. Okay. We'll go open this up and just take a look. Again, his manifest. You know, he's got it labeled here. Go into the sim objects, and just as you're going down through here, look at this folder. Look how it's set up. It's very similar to Gravel's basic template. All the elements are there. If you look down here at the aircraft CFG, here's the base container. That's where it's been directed to in the base container to get that livery to work. And then you can look at how he's titled it. You can look at how he's got the model folder panel set up. You could look at this just like a template to set up your own folders. I'm just showing this to you to give you some suggestions how you can find help. Go into the CFG, the texture folder, and open up the CFG. This can help you figure out your callbacks of where you need to go in that aircraft to find the textures. He's got very minimal information in here, similar to what I did with Vigo and a few other aircraft. So this looking at things that are already out there can help you as well. I don't need this anymore. I'm just going to get rid of these guys, delete them out of here. So I hope this will help you. Good luck in your livery creations. If you got any questions, I'm usually floating around the Discords, or I'm floating around Flight Sim 2, and you can get a hold of me through the messaging there on any one of my liveries, or just get into the general messages. So good luck. We'll figure something out. Maybe I'll go into some painting stuff using Blender next, if it'll help anybody out. I already have a bunch of videos on my video channel that might get you in the right direction. But thank you for putting up with me and listening to me. Adios.